So I was really fortunate that I was in Birmingham, which was the heart of the Stop the War movement. And I went from basically shouting at my television to get involved in something that for me stood for something that I believed in. And in some ways, Stronger In has been that vehicle. I probably, like you, spent ages sort of saying, I do not see the logic in this. This doesn't make sense. But I don't think that when you see something that is so important to you, sitting there and just shouting at the television isn't enough. I know I'm speaking to the converted because the fact that you're here today says a lot. There's a lot of work to do to bring other people along in that journey. So let's just fast forward now. So got involved in Stronger In and had the opportunity to speak to a couple of spaces. And I come from now very much a business perspective. So I work a lot with new start businesses and growth businesses. And as I was thinking about what is it that I want to say about this stuff, what is it that chimes with me? And then good old Dave Cameron, bless him. And this is not meant to be party political. This is about me presenting the things for me that don't make sense. So the vision was that there would be an attempt to go and fight for the rights of British people in negotiating reformation of the EU. Great, understand that? Fine, go in for it, Dave. He then decides, or the wisdom is to decide to focus on out-of-work benefits for immigrants. Now, for anybody who knows anything about the statistics around the welfare budget, we spent about 6% on welfare in terms of out-of-work benefits. So if we stop paying income support, job seekers allowance to everybody, regardless of where they're from, we would save 6% of the welfare budget. So if we then say just people who are immigrants, the potential saving is negligible. 6% of our welfare budget goes towards pensions. Nothing wrong with that. But let's just be clear about the benefits that can be achieved from certain pushes forward. So another thing that really stuck for me that was important was looking at the legacy of Europe and thinking about all of those buildings, you know, universities. Broad Street wouldn't exist without European monies. Aston Science Park wouldn't exist without European monies. The fact that we have some of the most well-attended and high-profile universities in our region would not happen without European money. And I thought to myself, well, maybe the days of Europe being a cash cow and a get-out-of-jail clause for British expenditure have gone. However, last weekend, where were ministers going to find much-needed finances for those families who were affected by the floods? Europe. Now, I don't know fully what could be achieved by removing ourselves from Europe, but I know what could be lost. I know there are many within the left who are arguing around the pressure around trade unions and the way in which the European system appears to be pushing towards an agenda that takes away the rights of people and takes away their right to protest. But I think there are bigger things afoot. I'm a mother of a 13-year-old child, and there are many things that I have benefited from that have enabled me to start off as a kid from Sparkhill who left school with virtually no GCSEs, become somebody stands in front of you, self-employed with a master's educated. I know that Europe had a role to play in that. I do not want to take that right away from my daughter. I am unsure what the future holds for the UK. But what I do know is taking away the potential for solidarity and collaboration with people who share interests simply does not make sense to me. I'm unsure if in the future there will be better conditions where us separating from Europe would be more profitable, more beneficial. What I know right now, while this country is going through some of the most swinging cuts and major changes to the way in which we deal with communities and deal with society, this for me is not the time to sever links. So I should just leave with this key point. The purpose of today isn't simply to preach to the converted because you are here. The purpose of today is to stimulate you to have this conversation in as many places and with many people as possible. Because what we know is that political systems do not work because other people disagree with them. We know that this is about participation, we know that this is about engagement. So part of the agenda for today isn't simply just to hear the things that you know, it's also to give you ammunition and ideas and arguments that you can take out to speak to the people within your networks and within your community. So I thank you very much for your time. I am going to have to leave early. That's not an indication of my lack of interest. I simply need to be somewhere else. So thank you very much for your time. Just want to